Alright, so today I'm going to start taking a look at the Line 6 HX Stomp, which is part of the Helix brand of things. They have a much larger pedal board that would be like a full Helix, basically two of these, but with more stomp switches. And then there's the Stomp XL. I've got this one a few years ago, right about the time that the XL was launching. And really, I had the plethora first, and was seeing what people online were talking about being able to do with using the HX Stomp to control the plethora through MIDI. So at some point I'm going to get into that as well. But I should start with basically what I like about this, why I use it, and I probably will keep it as part of my rig for the foreseeable future. This is kind of the start of me going down the ampless road, so I do still use an amp whenever I perform, but this allows me to have another option if I were to decide to go fully DI. A lot of times I'll run this into the PA at practice. So it's got two ins, two outs, the expression 1 and 2, or foot switch 4 and 5. So you've got 3 here, you could plug in 2 more there. Then we have stereo send right there, and then aux in or stereo return. So this one, even though it's one plug, I'll use an adapter that'll let me split my signal left and right, and then be able to return in stereo. And then we have a MIDI and headphone jack on the other side. The XL is a little bit longer, has more of the switches, and all these controls are on the back panel there. So again, I think this one is really cool. Some of the effects are maybe not as good as what they are in the plethora, and that's why I use them together. But the controls of this one, and being able to have drives and amps and cabs and things like that, is pretty cool. Really, the biggest reason that I'll wind up using the simplifier with this is because of the XLR outs. That's one of the huge things that's really cool about that and it being all analog and everything. But let's go ahead and take a look at how this one is laid out. So I've got it set on preset 75. Honestly, I've only got like 3 presets not used on here. I've got a ton of different stuff programmed into this, and a lot of the boards are linked up with boards that I have in the plethora. So let's see. Right now, this is just going to be like a blank preset. So to drop something in, you hit the bottom toggle switch. It brings up the categories. None. I've got a few favorites. Distortions, dynamics. Distortions, that's obviously going to be overdrives, distortions, fuzzes. The dynamics is going to be noise gates, compressors, limiters, things like that. EQ obviously is going to have graphics and parametric, and even I think the acoustic simulator is in that category right there. Then you have the modulations, which would be your chorus, flanger, let's see, vibratos, things like that are all included in the plethora. And I'll probably do some kind of shoot-out video between some of the options they have there. In the plethora, it's all like, you have one effect and then different tone prints and things within it. This one has kind of like, oh, it's based off this, it's based off this. So we got the delays, you got reverbs, their own categories. Then you got the pitch and synth. So that would be like how the brainwaves and the harmonizer are in the plethora. So you got things like that, but then it doesn't have synths. It's got combinations of effects that can be used to kind of make synth sounds. Then you got filters, which we don't really have in the plethora either. Wahs, then cabs. Well, you have amps. So amps, and then amp and cab. So that would be like to save you a block there. And it's got some different controls. I'm not sure DSP-wise how they stack together. Let's see, preamp would be similar to the amp, except with less controls over things like the bias and sag and things like that. Cab is going to be the speaker emulation and also mic positioning and what type of mic you're using for that. IRs, for those that don't know, IR stands for impulse response, and it's a pretty cool concept. They can take microphones and listen to the room, the atmosphere that you have. So I know Abbey Road Studios is one that is one that I think Waves does a package for. But they mic the room up, and it's a combination of the EQ settings of the room and probably some reverbs and some basic things, but that make it sound like that exact room. And I don't have any IRs in here, but this would be where they would be stored. So you can have single or doubles. I guess I've got samples, but probably won't really take a look at those. Volume and panning options, those are really cool. The send and return, I wind up using that a lot, and we'll refer to this when I'm wiring everything up. Then you do have a looper in there. It's a little tricky to use. Probably if I was using MIDI, it might be a little easier there. So let's see. That's a pretty basic, overview of a lot of the different categories that it has there. Let's take a look at some of the other stuff. I don't want an IR there. Let's see if I want to get rid of that. Let's see, I can just back out, go to none. That's one way to do it. Let's see, the little menu right here. If I hit both those buttons together, it's going to bring up a few of the options. Bypass assign would be if I have, say, a distortion and I want to assign it to one of these pedals. I could do that from there. Controller assign, that can be some of the different just parameters within the effects. Command center is cool. So this is where you can actually send MIDI messages or assign what the different specific things for each of the foot switches, and even give them like little custom names. And then if you have expression foot switch 4 and 5 or expression 1 and 2, you can assign what those are doing. So you could have one be like your volume, and then if you trigger something that switches you to expression 2, that could control a wah-wah or something, and one that comes on when it's triggered. All right, so back here, I'll just run through and show you, not a breakdown of all the effects, but just kind of scroll through some of these. There is menus available online where you can actually like take a look, and it's like, oh, this is actually a version of this. You know, this is like the Line 6 version, and it's based off of DS1 or the Metal Zone or something. So Legacy would be like, I think they had the series, is it the DD4? That's the green one with 4 knobs. That would be like considered part of the Legacy series. So those are kind of like Line 6 kind of things that algorithms that they've already had at their disposal for a long time. So like the tube drive, screamer, overdrive. So they're kind of like starting on the low end of the distortion and then building up to buzzsaw, facial fuzz, jumbo fuzz, fuzz pie. So, and then you got like a few Line 6 specific ones, sub-octave fuzz, Killer Z, that's based off of a Metal Zone. Although I'll probably do a shootout video with that, because I don't know, I don't know. It's usable, but I don't know that it's exactly what they're going for with that. And just to show you another shortcut too, so while I'm on that, I can just kind of hold down one of these buttons that I want to assign it to, and just get it to again. There we go. And now that toggles that. I'll just leave that one there for now. So now I'm just building this preset, looks like. Oh, let me go back. So in those distortions, that would be like a legacy one. Then I also have stereo and mono options. And this would be like the newer Helix versions of things. Like the Air Apparent and Tone Sovereign. I think those are like the King of Tone pedals. I think Minotaur is the Klon pedal. Compulsive Drive is the OCD. Screamer 808 is, I think, the Maxon. Tube Screamer. Pillars is the, what is it? It's the Plumes, which I've got one of those. I'll probably take a look at. DS1 Vintage is a DS1. DS1 mod is a modded version of that. Then they have 2 versions of like the rat pedal, so I'll probably do a shootout with that at some point. The Vital Distortion, Vital Boost, that one's actually really cool. It's the Sun Life pedal mod from Earthquaker Devices, which is like a $300 pedal. I've really wanted to try it, but suddenly it's updated in here, so while I might get one at some point, I really have a pretty good digital version of it. Obviously that one's going to be analog, but you know, it's still cool that suddenly it's just on the pedal. Swedish Chainsaw HM2, bunch of different fuzzes, Bit Crusher, Ampeg Scrambler. So you got some cool stuff in there. That's distortions, EQ, got the same thing, legacy, different comps, different, let's see, things in mono. There's like some of the newer ones. So you got noise gates, compressors. Let's see, EQ, yeah, there's the acoustic simulator. Modulation, got the legacy stuff, tremolos, phasers, vibratos, chorus, flangers, and then these are the kind of like Helix ones. Tremolo, phaser vibes, flangers, chorus, detune. Bunch of different delays. Anyway, I'm gonna dig into all this stuff at some point. The reverbs on here are pretty good. Not quite as good as the plethoras though, so I mainly stick to those, and I'll kind of use these for after cab sim stuff. The pitch stuff is cool. I like synthy kind of stuff, but it's really DSP heavy, so at some point I'm gonna get the Boss SY200 in the mix here too, because I really like what you can do combining that with all of this stuff. Got some of this. The 12 string is cool, but pretty DSP heavy. Different kind of filters. Guess not as many of those. The wahs are cool, but I've not been able to get a good balance with my expression pedal just yet. So it's gonna take forever to go through the amps and cabs. Basically you see that you got the guitar bass and then the legacy. That's where they did a update recently where they kind of changed the algorithms around, and I think made them a little easier on the DSP. So it's like, you know, if you already had all your settings, they didn't change anything in those, but you have the new legacy stuff that you can try out there. I think it's all the same stuff though. So amp. I'll just do a quick scroll down. You can see that it's a huge number of amps. All the British stuff is Marshall, all the Cali stuff is, what is it? Mesa Boogie. And then you got a bunch of Line 6 stuff there at the bottom. Take a look at the bass amps too. Ampeg, Mesa, some good stuff. So anyway, I'll probably go ahead and just wrap this one up. Otherwise, I'm gonna want to get to plugging things up with this, and yeah, that's gonna be a whole big can of worms. But I definitely plan on getting this mixed back in with the simplifier and with the plethora here soon, and eventually, like I said, with the synth, and get my whole pedal board back together. But I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this one for today. Appreciate you guys sticking around, watching all this and everything, and I will talk to you soon.